Ilona Maher is adding yet another item to her resume, but this time she's starring in her own television show. The rugby star is set to be the focus of a docuseries produced by Hello Sunshine. Hello Sunshine is Reese Witherspoon's production company, and previously they were best known for their fictional television shows that focused on women. Some of those shows include The Morning Show, Little Fires Everywhere, and Daisy Jones and the Six. However, Hello Sunshine has recently been carving out a new space for themselves in women's sports. They just released F1 The Academy on Netflix, which gave the sort of Drive to Survive treatment to F1 Academy, the all-female single-seater development series aimed at getting more women on the path to Formula One. And they also have a docuseries called Surf Girls, which follows female surfers in Hawaii. The new Ilona Maher show is going to focus on her journey from sevens to the 2025 World Rugby Cup, which means that we're going to see her journey as she shifts from sevens to 15s. If you're not familiar with rugby, what you watched Ilona play in the Olympics was called rugby sevens, and it's a very different game than rugby 15s, which is what they play in the World Cup. There are a number of differences, which I hope the docuseries will actually get into, one of which being the number of people on the pitch goes from 7 to 15. The positions are different, the training is different, the level of endurance is different, and so I'm pretty excited to see how we document that journey and hopefully get to see a lot of her training and the changes that go into that. It does seem like the docuseries has already been filming for quite a bit, given that it's set to follow her Olympic success, as well as her move to England where she played with the Bristol Bears. It seems as though the show will continue to follow her all the way through the World Cup, and that we'll hopefully get a pretty good image of not only Ilona, but also women's rugby as a whole. Something that I think is really interesting about Ilona in particular is that we've seen her fame really blow up since the Olympics, but in terms of US women's rugby, there wasn't as much of an infrastructure for people to become fans of after the Olympics were over. The US didn't actually have a women's professional rugby league until this year, and so that means a lot of the excitement and viewership that we saw happen at the Olympics didn't necessarily have somewhere for it to go here in the US afterwards. And so I think with a lot of women's sports where we're seeing people interested in investing in them, and we're seeing stars like Ilona Maher break out, the overall success of that interest transferring to a league as a whole depends on how much infrastructure there was in the first place. For example, the Caitlin Clark excitement was able to transfer to a league that had been in existence for a very long time and already had a number of stars available in the league to get excited about. And so one thing I hope this series does is continue that excitement about women's rugby and about Ilona in particular in a way that hopefully the infrastructure in the US in particular can catch up to and still benefit from. Either way, I think it's going to be really cool, not only because Ilona Maher is so charismatic and fun to watch, but also because they'll be following a really specific sporting journey, making a transition from one part of a sport that she's already very good at to a different version of the sport that requires highs, lows, and new training, getting out of her comfort zone and us getting a chance to watch that. Personally, I thought F1 The Academy was not only very enjoyable, but found a way to produce a sports documentary with not only a female subject, but a female gaze. And I'm excited to see the Hello Sunshine team do that again with Ilona and women's rugby. Let me know if you're excited about this show, if you feel like it's not possible to get enough Ilona Maher in your life, if you're interested in women's rugby, or if this might get you into the sport for the first time, and if you think Hello Sunshine is becoming a leader in women's sports documentaries.